Alien. Alien is the OG. It's the film that kicked off the rated R science fiction horror genre. It has continued to shape how I see the franchise to this day. I had low expectations when I saw this at the cinema in 1979, considering the underwhelming trailer. You'll have to forgive me, I was awfully young then. Set in a dystopian future, it poses many societal references that we presume acceptable today. Employees are always under video and audio surveillance. Artificial intelligence makes decisions on behalf of the crew. There's no superheroes here, or anyone with superhuman abilities, unless they're a robot. It's the film that included body horror that is often replicated, but never reproduced. Alien gets credit for introducing that lived-in look, and analog lo-fi technology, although a case can be made that credit goes to Star Wars. As much as terrifying the alien design was, from the egg to the facehugger to the fully grown xenomorph, nothing was as terrifying as the unknown, with questions that should never be answered. I was so taken back by this film that I bought the novelization, and in a short time couldn't tell if what I read in the book was in the film or not. The lure of Alien is the paranoia, the majesty of the unknown, and the illusion of control where there is no control. To me, this is the best film of the franchise, but not necessarily the most entertaining. Aliens. I saw this in 1986 in the cinema, and it did not disappoint. While Alien was science fiction horror, Aliens was a science fiction action movie with monsters. It didn't just expand the lore, but respected the original film, not unlike Alien, where we had to use our imagination of what the crew inside the alien spacecraft endured. We played out our own unique horror movie on the fate of the population inside Hadley's Hope. It's a story about overconfidence, hubris, and the underhanded ethics of the company. Of course, the ending probably has the best final boss fight introduction in history. While I put Alien as the best of the film's franchise, Aliens is most entertaining. This is the film that vaulted Ellen Ripley from a horror movie survivor to an action hero. With one of the best sequels in cinematic history, you'd think there was no chance they could screw this up. Alien 3. Anxiously waiting 6 years for another chapter, I saw this at the cinema. After the first 5 minutes, I could feel my heart sink into my stomach, and it went black. Those idiots. They killed her off.
God damn you all to hell!
They killed Newt. So much for Alien's iconic ending. What? They killed off Ripley too?
God damn you all to hell!
Now, my hot take is solely my thoughts from watching the theatrical release at the cinema in 1992. I didn't go in with the internet in my pocket, and I don't care about all pre-production issues, including Sigourney Weaver's demands. So I did not like this. It was a gloomy, deliberately nihilistic film that was unworthy of one of cinema's greatest characters. Now, having said that, the set design of Alien 3 is fantastic and puts you in a depressing universe that may, or may not, represent the one imagined in the 1979 original. Alien 3 is better than Resurrection. It's more consistent and doesn't upend or rewrite the universal lore like Prometheus. It's more enjoyable than Covenant. It's not serendipitous like Romulus, and I won't defame Alien 3 by comparing it to the fan flick crossover films. I can see why others love this film. If you weren't invested in Ripley or Newt and saw this as a harbinger of doom crash landing on a distant planet, this was the makings of a cult film. Since then, Alien 3 has been going through several attempts at rehabilitation with its assembly cut, and now the legacy cut. Both I highly recommend watching, by the way. As a Ripley saga, it's a disservice to her legacy. It wasn't what fans of the first two films wanted, but if you're looking for a new xenomorph scenario story, it's serviceable. But without Ripley, where would they go from here? Alien Resurrection. Resurrection is silly. Maybe not the most silly, but it's the film that put the IP on hiatus. 5 years went by and I saw this at the theater, hoping for redemption after Alien 3. Written by Joss Whedon, the man who now couldn't get arrested in this town. The story Whedon wrote didn't bring back Ripley because, for good reasons. They brought back her clone, one of many, I'll add, with the alien queen from her blood collected from the prior film. The futuristic cloning process managed to replicate most everything, including her memory and the queen. And it only took 8 tries. I don't care about the retcon science fiction contrivance. This was a stretch. However, sacrifices had to be made if we wanted Sigourney Weaver pretending to be a version of Ellen Ripley. Resurrection wanted so much distance between it and Alien 3. It was set 200 years into the future, and Weyland-Yutani doesn't officially exist anymore. Instead of space truckers, Resurrection has space smugglers who I really don't give 2 stones about. What Resurrection gave fans was a new setting with mad scientists and their secret experiments gone very badly. The silly scientists had no clue how to contain a dangerous organism, which results in total failure. I wonder if we'll ever see this again. Oh, right. Oh, right. While showcasing some interesting scenes, this may be the first of the franchise that relied on silly characters. It's as if IQ suddenly dropped. The issue with Resurrection, it needed to tell 3 stories. One about the secret experiments that go awry, another about the smugglers, finally, one dedicated to reintroducing Ripley and hope you don't ask too many questions. It's a survival story that has some distant resemblance to Alien and Aliens. But what Resurrection is known for is its bonkers ending, with a xenomorph alien hybrid. Baby? Let's just hope we never see this again. Oh, wait. Prometheus. After 15 years of hibernation, the Alien franchise turns to Ridley Scott to reinvigorate the IP. I was there at the cinema watching in IMAX 3D. How exciting to bring back the legend who directed the classic film. No one would be more suited to course correct the franchise, or so I thought. Prometheus solves a question that nobody asked for an answer to. What was the origin of Earth's civilizations? Who were the engineers? If you love the alien in Aliens, by God, Ridley Scott is going to opine about creationism. Prometheus is not a bad film. Sometimes it's great science fiction. Sometimes it's stupid science fiction with its stupid scientists. It's also a confusing film. It poses more questions than it answers, and what it makes out of the alien legacy is that the derelict ship on LV-426 wasn't all that special or unusual. Worse, outside a few select characters, I really didn't care for most of them. Relatable characters were something that made the original Aliens so very successful. In Prometheus, they were either too many characters, or they were too sociopathic, or too crass, or too stupid to be called a scientist, or go on a scientific mission, let alone on an interstellar voyage. I wonder if that will improve later. Oh, wait. The movie looks great, and if you didn't follow Alien or the 3 sequels that followed it, you could see a story about alien biological warfare, artificial intelligence, and the consequences of idolatry. Michael Fassbender is fantastic as the android David. The question of Alien fans was, how does this fit in the Alien IP? Prometheus reminds me of Star Trek the Motion Picture. Take a world and its references we're familiar with and throw that into a highbrow story that's closer to 2001, A Space Odyssey. Take something that was iconic and leverage the opportunity to make something more important, more thought-provoking. I think Ridley Scott wanted to tell a story about creationism and co-opted the franchise. What could go wrong? Prometheus has been described as an indirect prequel. You can look at it as sharing the same universe as Alien, but has little or nothing to do with each other. They have some ideas or references that overlap, but otherwise are 2 independent stories. However, I think of this indirect prequel as inspired by Alien, but set in its own universe. It began here and ended in Covenant. I know what you're thinking. Headcanon is delusional or even dangerous. In my opinion, Prometheus and Alien don't make a good tandem. But derivatives are becoming more common that it's becoming difficult, if not impossible, to make every Alien production work in a single timeline and universe. Prometheus was meant to take the genre of space horror into a new, enlightened direction. But would it?
Well, if you can't be with the one you love, love the one you're with.
Alien Covenant. Never have deleted scenes been more important than the theatrical release itself. I present to you Alien Covenant. This is the first Alien film I skipped watching at the cinema. It's part Prometheus, part Alien wannabe, and a total mess. It took the most interesting human character, Elizabeth Shaw, and killed her off-screen. It took the best performing character, David, and diluted him with a duplicate named Walter. It's a story about colonists with the worst luck. A captain who, like most of his scenes, gets deleted. The second in line, who nobody respects, makes his first command decision a disaster because religion. Gee, I wonder what Ridley was trying to say. Anyhow, instead of sticking to the plan that he and 2,000 others agreed to gamble their souls on, the captain decides to land on a planet with biological landmines, deadly pathogens, and a sociopathic android. The studio wanted more monsters, but Scott wanted more Prometheus. What we got was a mishmash of monsters that explode from new body parts. An explanation how David created the xenomorph, eggs, and facehuggers. Maybe he recreated them by decoding the genome in the black goo. I wonder if this will be picked up later? Oh, right. There's that part where David wiped out an entire planet of engineers, or maybe their distant cousins, out of spite.
I don't know you!
It was obvious that Covenant was supposed to make up for the lack of xenomorphs from Prometheus, but ended up with a comedy of errors where everything goes wrong. It has some of the look of Alien, the nihilism of Alien 3, and the mad scientist archetype of Resurrection with the pretentiousness of Prometheus. And it ends up putting the IP on hiatus a second time. Alien Romulus. What happens when you take a really good fan fiction film and give it a wide release? You get Alien Romulus released in 2024. I was hesitant at first, but after hearing good things, I returned to the cinema. Set after Alien 1979, in a parallel universe when the Nostromo did not atomize, Romulus has the mystique of Alien with a sprinkle of aliens mixed in. The consensus? Romulus is between dour pessimism and unchecked exuberance. This was made for the Gen Z crowd with their patience, wisdom, and decision-making skills. It's a story of very young adults with the emotional maturity of teenagers who felt stuck in their backwater world and dreamt of sunnier skies. What Romulus does too well is its member berries. It has something for everybody, but not everything for anybody. They made sure to include a reference from every movie, and unfortunately, gave credibility to the black goo. I'm going to give credit for the lo-fi look and for another perspective on how life is living and working under the company. It introduces new lore, some interesting, some super fantastical. It's basically a museum of horrors up in orbit with different attractions each exhibiting its own theme or callback to an alien film. The reintroduction of Rook, was eye-raising and questionable. Overall, I enjoyed it, up until the ending with its unnecessary and crazy baby scene that pushed Romulus over the edge. The worst part is everything that was wrong with Resurrection, and Romulus are the things the franchise are dead set on preserving. Alien vs. Predator. AVP is a fan fiction crossover film and shouldn't be taken seriously. It was something the studio really pushed for, since money is good. There's a pyramid in Antarctica, because of course there is. Adolescent predators show up with something to prove, while Charles Bishop Wayland collects a team of diggers, scientists, and security personnel to claim any ancient technology for himself. Let's start with the good. I really like the scenes of the old whaling station. It was a small hint of what a period piece would be like. Lance Henriksen is a wink and nod to the alien lore. What's bad are the bland characters. Don't really know, don't really care for most of them. Our lead heroine miraculously survives in the end, despite having no combat experience. She's so perfect. She doesn't need a coat to stand in the Antarctic cold. That's pretty good for someone who completely failed at what she was hired for.
It is my job to keep you alive on this expedition.
The pyramid is simply a fun house of moving walls and floors that someone, somewhere has to clean up and repair every 100 years. Oh, and there's a xenomorph queen that gets reawakened every century like Frankenstein. A VP is somewhere between mind-numbingly entertaining and insanely stupid. Alien vs. Predator Requiem. Requiem is a direct sequel to AVP, beginning where it last left off. Except Requiem is Alien Earth before it was Alien Earth. This movie has the vibes of First Blood meets Return of the Living Dead, but with a much lower budget and shot mostly in the dark. When it tells an alien story as a spreading contagion getting a foothold on a small town, it does it well. When it wants to tell a predator story, for he is the hero out to save the earth, it does it all right. But there's a story of a pizza delivery guy and his theories about sausage, who's always at the wrong place at the wrong time. It's tied down by its budget with dark, generic shooting locations, including a freaking high school for Pete's sake. Nobody cares about a loser and his part-time girlfriend going on a swim. Is it a bad movie? Yes. With Requiem, there would be no more low-budget sequels. At least we know how Yutani got a leg up on Wayland. Please consider a like, share, or subscribe if you enjoyed this video. This is Mr. G of Synergy. Thanks for watching.